Athens, Texas will take center stage in Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys, the Houston Texans, a rivalry that typically you get a taste of every 4 years, but the two-story organizations are bringing you a taste sooner. I'll be getting you ready for it all here on Cowboys Rewind. I'm Nicole Hutchison, but first, it's been a hectic week here at the Star. It's only right to turn it all back. And as if the Dallas Cowboys needed any more bad luck this 2024 season, from season-ending injuries in training camp to more detrimental injuries throughout the first half of the season. And how about the ultimate dagger? Dak Prescott suffering a hamstring injury in Week 10. He officially made the decision to get surgery that will have him out the rest of the year. And the Talking Cowboys crew weighing in on that conversation after the news became official.
Yeah, it's no surprise. I'm surprised it didn't happen last week, but again, Dak was trying to find different options because he wasn't quitting, right?
He was not giving up.
He was not giving up, and he was trying to do everything he possibly could to see the field again this year. That will not happen, but I am in a way relieved that he doesn't have to play.
Yeah.
For the remainder of the year, with the way the offensive line is playing, with the way that we were calling for him to be mobile and to pick up yards on the ground. Obviously, it just didn't work out that way. It's unfortunate. You hate to see that again to Dak Prescott. I don't want to put it out there that he's in the Romo years. You know what I mean? Like he's towards the end of Romo's career where he's having all these injuries. But I'm worried for the future in that let's hope that the Cowboys are able to make some moves this offseason to get some people and some bodies around him that will help him in the pocket and help him get the ball out quicker. Receivers getting open, receivers running their routes quickly, getting open, creating some space. But to me, part of me is thankful that he doesn't have to play with this current offense of this year. Yeah. For the remainder of the year.
Well, obviously, I think like Josh put it well, where it was expected. I think that could have happened last week, but I think that it tells you how much of a competitor Dak Prescott is to be able to put this off and say, I'm going to do everything I can and just pray that somebody tells me I can play. And
in some form or fashion, right?
In some form or fashion, right? And so, obviously that's not the case. Obviously, we're hoping for a speedy recovery and pray that surgery goes well.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I think you're completely right in terms of this offseason needs to be focused on making sure that he's set up for success. Football is a line of scrimmage game. And I think a lot of the reason why the Cowboys have struggled this season has been because they've been weak at points at the line of scrimmage, specifically on the offensive line. I think you can look at this defensive line, and they're starting to piece it together, I think, these last couple of weeks, especially stopping the run. But the offensive line, you've got pieces there. You've got Tyler Smith. You've got. I still think Tyler Guyton can be a good piece for you. I think it's more a matter of him getting the reps, because you got to remember with Guyton, he missed a lot of training camp. He missed OTAs. So those are valuable reps. And Mike McCarthy has talked about how those are valuable reps for a young guy to get. So.
And you see a guy like Austin Richards, too.
Exactly. Austin Richards played really well. Cooper Beebe has had a great season as a rookie center in a position he's never played before. I don't think that's talked about enough. Cooper Beebe has never played center. I keep
trying to bring it up.
And he's playing it the way that he is. So, the pieces are there, but I think you're still one or two away. And when you insert Dak Prescott back into that formula, I think things will bode well.
Quite some time before Dak Prescott is inserted back in that conversation. My bad. 3, 2. It'll be quite some time before Dak Prescott is inserted back in that conversation. It's now Cooper Rush time, and even after an ugly 45-yard passing game in Week 10, he's been named the starting. Mike McCarthy officially announcing that he will be the starter against the Texans, but they've added another quarterback to the mix. It's a reunion here in Dallas. Once again, that's up next.
Cowboys Rewind is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage, customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit swbc.com. This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's a reunion here in Dallas, Texas. Once again, Will Grier signing the dotted line to be a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys earlier this week. He was signed to the practice squad following the decision of Dak Prescott undergoing season-ending surgery in his hamstring. Will Grier balled out in his finale for the Dallas Cowboys in 2023 final preseason game against the Raiders. He completed 29 passes for 305 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was cut after that game when the Cowboys sent a 4th-round pick to acquire Trey Lance to the San Francisco 49ers. Was this a good or bad decision for Dallas? Well, the Girls Talk, Boys Talk crew weighed in on that conversation.
Well, I remember that they let Dak Prescott call the plays.
Yep.
And I remember we were giving Dak a hard time because he's over there calling plays from the sideline, and you see it on TV where and it's actually a restaurant commercial with Dan Campbell where he gets, whoever's calling plays, they always put something over their face so that nobody can read lips. And Dak's just there, and it's like, man, he needs to look more professional there if he's going to call the plays. But Will Grier lit it up that day, so they let Will Grier have that entire final preseason game. They let Dak call the plays because Will Grier had found out 3 days earlier that they had given his job away to when they, as Nicole said, acquired Trey Lance for the 4th-round pick. The trade with San Francisco. And so he lit it up. I'll say that in the 2.5 years that Will was here, one of my favorite locker room guys, just a great guy, girl dad. He's got 2 little girls and such a nice wife and family. But he is more of a kind of a gunslinger kind of guy.
Does he have like a little swagger to him?
He's got a little swagger to him.
I think that is why teams have. I think that he gave himself opportunity by playing that preseason game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he just plays, and it's give and take, right? Because I think Baker is a guy that I consider, Baker Mayfield is a guy that I would consider like a gunslinger, and he's matured and developed.
I really
into,
like him now.
He's matured and developed into
hard.
a guy that is comfortable, revived his career, has the right people around him. Good OC down there at the Bucs. And I think about him. He reminds me of him in just the way that he's free flowing. He'll run.
Will does?
Yeah, Will Grier for sure.
He'll make some decisions that'll make you be like, what? And then it works, or whatever the case may be. So I agree. It's fine to get him in there again. He's also familiar with this place.
Yes, the Cowboys.
Which matters, especially bringing someone in, given what's going on with this team, this locker room. You know he's not going to be divisive anyway.
Right.
He probably will be good energy and stuff for the team. So
It's good. And it's good to hear.
One other thing, I would just say the previous year, 2022, it was between him and Cooper Rush. He was pushing. A lot of us thought that he was going to be the backup to Dak
And he got hurt.
and surpass Cooper Rush, and then he got hurt in training camp and didn't get to play the rest of the preseason. But most of us were thinking that it was going to be Cooper number 3 and Will Grier
What you
number
got,
2 on
host?
the
What were you
depth
going to say,
chart.
Nicole?
Let me
got,
have
host?
a little fun here. So, do y'all think?
She's laughing, so it's going to be a good one.
Hear me out here.
I'm saying yes
Do,
already.
do y'all see? I don't know. Maybe it's the opportunity of maybe it's like, Cooper Rush. All right, we tried it. Maybe try Trey Lance up next, and then
here
it's
comes
Will Grier.
No.
He'll be their emergency QB?
No, they're going to give Trey if it's not going well with Cooper Rush.
They'll give Trey
Lance is going to have every opportunity because you traded a 4th-round pick for him.
Which I'm happy
and you
about.
didn't
Unless he gets
trade
hurt, he
anything
gets
for
injured
Will
all the
Grier.
time.
Yeah,
But from
I
what
think
y'all-
we'll only see Will Grier if you get injuries to Cooper and Trey.
I get that, but do y'all think this isn't just? I don't want to worry about what Mike McCarthy was. The whole ladder. I want to know what y'all think about out of the quarterbacks we have. Who do you feel, from what you've seen, could be a starter? Should be. Again, this is not like the pecking order or how it's supposed to go. I just want to know y'all's thoughts.
I think that they will, and I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
You go with Cooper Rush until you are eliminated.
Okay.
And then develop Trey.
And then let him play.
Yeah.
And Will Grier be the emergency guy.
I mean, Cooper's
But
more
to answer
proven, but
we saying the right thing, but
No, listen, I'm
Nicole
saying
wants
I'm,
us to go off
I'm
the
saying
rails.
that.
Getting y'all's thoughts.
yeah.
Because here's the thing. Right now, there's no question in my mind that Cooper Rush gives this team the best chance to win. Right now.
Right now, if he plays better.
And this staff and everybody in this building owes it to every single player and every single coach to give these guys the best opportunity to win.
If the Cowboys have to play Will Grier, that means they are in serious trouble. There's a lot of confidence, though, in Cooper Rush still right now in the building, and still a lot of confidence in this defense as well, especially after performing the way they have the last 2 weeks. But can they stop number 28? That's up next year on Cowboys Rewind.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Houston Texans had a historic season in 2023, making the playoffs for the first time since 2019 and winning the AFC South Division. They had the league's 12th ranked total offense and top 10 passing offense. It was the run game that needed a little bit of razzle-dazzle. They needed some improvement to take those next steps, so they made the necessary moves in free agency, inking former Bengals running back Joe Mixon to a 3-year deal in exchange for a 7th-round pick, and it's paid off in 2024. Joe Mixon's rushed for 100 or more yards and scored a touchdown in 5 games this season. And C.J. Stroud does some good things on the move as well that could impact the run game, but is Stroud's mobility truly detrimental to Zimmer's defense? It was a hot topic on Talking Cowboys this week.
Joe Mixon is, in fact, quite resurgent in a Texans uniform. He was always very solid, a very good player for the Cincinnati Bengals, but seems like he's refound that top gear with the Houston Texans. But it's not just him. It's just the totality of it. So when you talk about the Cowboys consistently struggling against the run, here are the top 5 rushing game outings for the Houston Texans. 213 yards, 101, 192, 142, 187. And now you're thinking, well, yeah, okay, what do the others look like? Well, 96, 94. Point being, they get after you on the ground. And Joe Mixon is the straw that stirs that drink. But talk about C.J. Stroud. Yes, the Lions got after him. They sacked him 4 times to kind of secure that comeback victory. But he has 10 first downs on the ground. And as Tommy said, he excels at throwing the ball under pressure. He's going to be a problem for you. So if you can't bottle up Joe Mixon in that rushing attack, and if you can't keep contained on C.J. Stroud to allow the pressure that you're inevitably going to get against him because the offensive line is struggling, then you're just in for a very long day.
C.J. Stroud's legs are something that can get the Texans first downs. Sure. But I think that the amount of space that's going to have to be there for Stroud to pick you up a first down is going to have to be, I think, enough to where if he gets it, you just throw your hands and say, good play. Good play. And you just take it. If C.J. Stroud beats you with his legs in this game, that's one where you just throw your hands up and say, we respect that. I don't see it as big of a threat as some of the other quarterbacks they've played this year. Like even Brock Purdy, I think was more of a you just throw your hands up and say, you got it. So, in this game specifically, and the reason I say that extra defender is going to be so crucial, when you think about the middle of the field, if you get Nico Collins back, that's his bread and butter. That's where he's been his best in those in-breaking routes. And the Cowboys have struggled in the middle of the field to defend those crossing patterns and things like that all season long. So if Nico Collins gets into that area of the field, you need to have a guy on him. Because if you're spying Amaris Leofau or DeMarvion Overshown and he's looking at the quarterback, well, then Nico Collins is going to slide right behind him and find that open gap in the middle of the field.
And they love those crossers over the middle, too.
Exactly. He'll take it an extra 15, 20 yards down the field, and now you're really in trouble. So if you put on the table for me, okay, C.J. Stroud picks up 7 yards on 1st and 10 because the middle of the field was open and they're covering Nico Collins, I'll take that over a 20-yard catch and run for Collins that sets him up in Cowboys territory. So I don't disagree with you guys in the sense that C.J. Stroud's legs are respectable enough to where you would want to consider putting a spy on him. I just don't think it is that viable of a threat to where you take a guy like Leofau or take a guy like Overshown out of the equation in coverage.
C.J. Stroud ranking 18th amongst quarterbacks in the 2024 season in rushing yards, but that number can be deceiving. He can do damage when he's out of the pocket, and you pair that with the Cowboys, who have been really struggling against mobile quarterbacks this year. Could be a recipe for disaster, but if no adjustments are made. Up next, though, opportunities for the defensive line are available. Will they eat? That's up next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. And to watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
CJ Stroud might be using his legs to extend drives, but it's not by choice. Most of the time, the Texans' offensive line has had him running for his life all year. Stroud's been sacked 34 times. You've heard that right. The second most in the NFL, and 269 lost yards on sacks is the most by any player in the NFL. The Girls Talk, Boys Talk crew broke it all down. This offensive line from the Texans' struggles and how the Cowboys' D-line could take advantage.
Yeah, this offensive line for the Texans has had some trouble. Their tackles are really having a hard time as well. Larry Tunsil is playing well because he's that guy, and he's one of the best left tackles in football. But the interior of that offensive line and Jared Patterson and sorry, did I erase it? Barnacles.
Mason,
Yes, Shaq. Yes, with Shaq Mason and Jared Patterson. Mercy, y'all.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys will be able to take defensively will be able to take advantage of some of the things they did last week. Actually, Zimmer did some shifts at the last minute, kind of confused some of those offensive linemen last week for the Eagles. Maybe come on some stunts, stuff like that, double A gaps. Obviously, those things. Be able to get some pressure on CJ Stroud, but CJ Stroud is weird in a sense because y'all talking about it's weird.
that he's
What?
weird.
It's not weird, but I find it's not weird. It's not football
Tell us
weird.
what it is. Maybe it is
Right?
weird.
Like,
Go for it.
It is
I
kind
wanna
of
know
weird.
it's weird.
But it's the fact that you talk about how teams are playing him differently. CJ Stroud, and this is something I think teams did to Dak too. He killed people against the blitz last year. He shredded people. This year, he's still good against the blitz, but he's struggling when people aren't blitzing him.
Well, you're right. That is definitely something that happened to Dak. But it's because Dak, and I'm assuming this is the same for CJ Stroud, because I'm trying to imagine how many different ways you could look at this situation. But Dak, one, a lot of times, especially last season, he felt more protected. And two, he trusts himself to get out of harm's way. So he could just focus on his targets downfield. So if they weren't as covered, or if they were able to get open, which they did a lot better last season as well, he just focused on that, picked a target, went for it, and so whoever was blitzing him wasn't as much of an issue. But when your pocket is disintegrating, when you're not as protected, the blitz is a little bit more scary. So you do worry a little bit more. And also with Nico being out, just looking at the numbers, it seems like he hasn't done as well against the blitz, especially when Nico is out. So that's like an issue over the past however long as well.
The Cowboys' success against the Eagles in Week 10, pressuring Jalen Hurts on over half of his dropbacks, sacking him 5 times, and that was facing a better offensive line. So it's time for Zimmer to get back in his tool bag and cook up some things to have some success again. Well, the countdown to kickoff begins soon. I'm getting you ready up next.
Second and 20. Mills flushed.
That's going to be it.
Keeping it deep.
Great.
High arcing toss for the end zone. It is intercepted. Cowboys pick it off in the end zone. And Dallas will avoid a Texas-sized upset. Israel Mukwamu with the interception to ruin the hopes of the Houston Texans.
It came down to the final minutes in 2022, and you could put money on it that it will be the battle down to the wire once again. At least that's what the Dallas Cowboys are expecting. Two teams fresh off ugly losses. First, you have the Dallas Cowboys getting beat down at home by the Philadelphia Eagles 34-6. Then the Houston Texans blowing a 14-plus point lead to the Detroit Lions and losing by a game-winning field goal. So both teams will be coming in with a chip on their shoulder, but specifically the Dallas Cowboys are at a point of the season now where there's literally no room for error. 3-6 with 8 games left to play. Every week is a must win. And this is an entire new definition of backs up against the wall for this team. Losing record without their starting quarterback, wide receivers struggling to create separation from defenders, inconsistencies within the run game as far as usage. Well, this defense, though, is now hitting its peak. That's a good thing. Playing their best ball right now. Hopefully, the offense can reward them with some good play Monday night, and we will see if we'll see some complimentary football. Kickoff is at 7:15 p.m. on ESPN. Let the battle of who runs Texas begin.
Cowboys Rewind was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today.